Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Mrs. Venti, and today we are going to look at the sum and difference of cubes. We're doing Platinum Math Grade 10, exercise 16 on page 24. We're going to look at all the questions. That's question 1 up until question 10. Now, in this instance, what's going to be different here is that we are going to be working with what is known as the common factor. So let's look at question 1. Question 1 says 3p cubed minus 24. Now what we notice, the first thing, remember we're doing the sum and the difference of cubes. What we notice is that we've got our minus sign, which means that we're working with the difference. But we don't have perfect cubes because 3 is not a perfect cube and 24 is not a perfect cube. But we can look at a common factor. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to try and take out 3. So if we take 3 out as a common factor, what we have left is going to be p cubed as our first term minus 8. And now all of a sudden, we have 1 as a perfect cube and we have 8 as a perfect cube. We have got a difference of cubes. Yay! So first we take out our common factor. Our next step is going to be to create our brackets, right? So we know 3 is outside. We're going to keep it on its own. Our first bracket is a binomial. Our second bracket is going to be a trinomial. We know that the symbol in the first bracket is a minus because it's a minus in the question. Then we have a plus, which is opposite to this minus. And we have a plus because it's always a plus. So we've got our brackets. We've got our signs in the brackets. Next up, we need to figure out how to do this. So this is going to be easy, right? In our first bracket, we're going to do the cube root of p cubed, which is p. We're going to do the cube root of 8, which is 2. First bracket, done and dusted. Yay, that was easy. Second bracket, let's do our first term. So our first term is going to be p squared. Our second term is going to be p times 2, which is 2p. And our third term is going to be 2 squared, which is 4. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the final answer to this question. You have now done the sum and difference of cubes and taken out the common factor. Okay, are you ready for the next one? So, our question says 40x to the power of 4 minus 5xy to the power of 6. We know we're working with the sum and difference of cubes. So first of all, we have a difference. Yes, we're happy with that, but we're looking for cubes. We do not have perfect cubes. 40 is not a perfect cube. X to the power of 4 is not a perfect cube. But I would like to have this be a 3, so maybe I could take out x. And then 5 is not a perfect cube. X to the power of 1 is not a perfect cube, so that x looks good to me. Y to the power of 6 is a perfect cube. So what are we going to take out? We're going to take out that 5, and we're going to take out x to the power of 1. So if I take out 5x to the power of 1, what I have left is 5 times 8 gives me 40. X cubed plus that 1, it makes x 4. That is a perfect cube. I'm happy with that. Minus, I took out the 5, I took out the x. I have y to the power of 6 left. That's a perfect cube. Yay. Now I can move on. I have 5x. That's going to remain untouched for the rest of its life. And we've got two brackets. Our first bracket is a binomial. Our second bracket is a trinomial. Sign in the binomial is minus because we're working with a difference. Trinomial is going to be plus because it's the opposite of minus. And plus because it's always plus. All right. First bracket. 8x cubed. Cube root of 8 is 2x to the power of 1. Yx6 will be y. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So my first bracket is 2x minus y squared. Now I go to my second bracket. Term 1 is going to be 2x squared. That's 4x squared. Term 2 is going to be 2x times y squared. 2xy squared. And term 3 is going to be y squared squared. That's going to be y to the power of 4. Done. Okay. Question 3 is A4b minus AB4. Again, we're looking for cubes, and we know that anything to the power of 4 is not a cube. So I'm going to want to take out one of those, right? That I want to be a 3, and this is a 1, so I'm going to take that out. This is a 1, I'm going to take that out, and I want to take out one of those to make it a 3. So I'm going to take out 1a and 1b. And let's see what we have left. A to the power of 3 plus that 1 makes 4. And I took out b to the power of 1. Minus, I took out a to the power of 1, so I have b to the power of 3 left. Perfect cubes. Yay, I'm happy. Right, now we can do AB stays outside, untouched. I've got two brackets, a binomial and a trinomial. My binomial is a minus because I have a minus in the question. Then I have a plus because it's the opposite of the minus. And I have a plus because it's always plus. Okay, first bracket. Cube root of a cubed is a. Cube root of b cubed is b. Easy. Second bracket. A squared. Then I have a times b. And then I have b squared. Done. That was easy. Question 4. A half d to the power of 5 minus 4d squared e to the power of 6. Okay. A half is not a perfect cubed. 4 is not a perfect cubed. So I need to do something there. I think I'm going to take out the half. Okay. So if I take out a half, then I need to look at my others. I've got D5. I want D3. So can I take out two D's here? Yes, if I take out two D's, I can take out two D's there. So I'm going to take out 2 to the power of D to the power of 2. And then what do we have left? I have my first bracket is going to be D cubed, which is what I want, minus. Now, if I take out a half, what is the relationship between 4 and a half? How do I figure this out? Essentially, what I'm saying is I'm going to say 4 divided by a half, which is going to be 4 multiplied by 2 over 1, which is going to be 8. So this becomes 8. And then I have e to the power of 6. And 8 is a perfect cube, so I'm happy with what I've got. Now I'm going to say a half d squared. I've got two brackets. My first bracket is a binomial. My second bracket is a trinomial. Sign in the binomial is minus because that's the sign in the question. Then I have a plus because it's the opposite of minus, and another plus. So d cubed becomes d, and then becomes 2e. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So it's 2e squared. All right, first term, second bracket, d squared. Second term is going to be 2de squared. I multiply that with that. And my third term is going to be that squared, which is going to be 4e4. And that's my final answer. Okay, so what we did different here was that we factorized a half, and when we take out the factor, we are dividing it. So this term divided by the one that we take out, and that gives us the 8. Next question. 9x6z minus 8 over 3 y3z. So what our common factor is going to be? Okay, so let's look at our fraction. What we're going to want to take out, if I take out 1/3, then I have 8 left, and 8 is a perfect cube, right? So I'm going to take out 1 over 3. That should work for me. So let's look at our first one. If I take out 1 over 3 from 9, it's going to be 9 divided by 1 over 3. And to divide by a fraction, I multiply by the reciprocal, which is 3 over 1. And that gives me 9 times 3, which is 27. And 27 is a perfect cube. So I have 27 over there. Hold on, but I'm not done. Okay, so then I'm going to take out, I've got x6, that's a perfect cube. I'm going to leave that one. Z, let's take out the z. So I've got x6 there, and on this side I've got 8y cubed. and those two are perfect cubes, so I'm happy with that. Now we can do our next answer. 1 over 3z remains untouched. I have two brackets. One's a binomial, one's a trinomial. Question 6, we've got k, open bracket, a cubed plus b cubed, close bracket, minus m, open bracket, a cubed plus b cubed. So we easily notice that we've got two terms, right? Our first term is, our first term and our second term, and our terms are separated by the plus and the minus sign. Okay, so in our two terms, what is the common factor? Our common factor is the bracket, that is a cubed plus b cubed. So if I take the common factor out, then I have got a cubed plus b cubed, and what's left is k minus m. And there we go. We can move on from here. We are going to say, I'm going to put this in the front just so that it's out of the way. It doesn't get changed. It remains the same. And then we've got two brackets, a binomial and a trinomial. Sign in the binomial is plus because I have a plus in the question. Minus because it's the opposite of plus, and then plus because it's always plus. So in our binomial, a cubed is a, b cubed is b. Now trinomial, a squared, a times b is ab, and b squared, and that is your final answer. Question 7, we have 4a squared multiplied by 8a6 minus 1 minus 8a6 minus 1. So again, we have got, this is the separator of our terms, so we've only got two terms, and the common factor in the two terms is going to be our bracket, right? So we are going to take out 8a6 minus 1. That is our common factor. What we have left is going to be a bracket of 4a squared, and then our minus. What's outside of the second term's bracket is a number 1. Remember, it's an unspoken number 1. It's actually minus 1 times 8a6 minus 1. So in our bracket, we have minus 1. Okay, so how do we solve this? Let's work with our first bracket. We are going to work with our difference of cubes. So difference of cubes gives us two brackets, a binomial and a trinomial, right? In our binomial, our sign is minus, then we have a plus and a plus in our trinomial. In our binomial, we have 8a6, so the cube root of that is going to be 2a2, and the cube root of 1 is 1. In our trinomial, we have 2a squared gives us 4a4. Then we have 2a times 1, 2a squared, times 1 gives us 2a squared. And then we have 1 squared, which is 1. So this is our first bracket. But now we are going to do something very, very different. Notice that this here is our second bracket. This 4a squared minus 1 is actually a difference of squares. Now, how do we solve a difference of squares? We know how to do this. Difference of squares, we've got two brackets, and in the bracket, one is plus and one is minus. And the factors or the terms inside will always be the same. So the square root of 4a squared becomes 2a, and the square root of 1 becomes 1 and 1. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is your final answer. So what's different in this slide from the previous ones is that now all of a sudden we are solving a difference of cubes, but we're also solving a difference of squares. So all that you need to do is go through everything one at a time. We did our first bracket, which is a difference of squares, and then we did our second bracket, which was a difference of cubes. And there you go. Keep your head, stay focused, go through everything one at a time. If you don't skip anything, then you will be fine. Okay, question 8. 25x squared multiplied by d3 minus f3 plus f3 minus d3. So what do we notice here? We are looking for a common factor. Now I would go that my brackets are common factors, right? But oh, this starts D minus F and this is F minus D. So how do I make these to look the same? In order for them to look the same, I can swap them, change the sign. So I can say D3 minus F3, but I have to change the sign on the outside. So if I change the sign on the outside, then I can change the sign on the inside, and that all works out fine. Remember the unspoken one that is on the outside of the bracket. And now that I've got common factors that are identical, I can remove the common factor. So I'm going to take out D3 minus F3, which are perfect cubes, and it's a difference of cubes. Then what I have left is going to be 25x squared minus 1. And if I look at that, 25 is a perfect squared and 1 is a perfect squared. So I've got a difference of squares as well as a difference of cubes. Let's start with the difference of cubes. Okay, so on our difference of cubes, we've got two brackets. One is a binomial and one is a trinomial. Binomial is a minus sign because there's a minus in the question. So we're doing this, by the way. And then we've got a plus, which is opposite of the minus, and we've got another plus because it's always plus. In my first bracket, d cubed becomes d, f cubed becomes f. Second bracket, d squared. Then I have d times f. Then I have f squared, easy as pie. Now I'm going to do this bracket, which is going to be my difference of squares. Got two brackets. One is plus, one is minus. 25 becomes 5x, and 1 becomes 1. 5x and 1. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your final answer. We did two things. We did a difference of cubes and a difference of squares. This is question 9. We have p cubed minus 3 cubed multiplied by x squared plus p cubed minus 3 cubed, q cubed multiplied by x subtracted from 6 multiplied by p cubed minus q cubed. So our common factor is the bracket. That's easy enough to see. If we take out our common factor, p cubed minus q cubed, what we have left, we're going to put in brackets. So remember the relationship between this bracket and that x squared is multiplied. So that's x squared. That is going to be x. So it's plus, that plus x, and then minus 6. Alrighty. So let's start with our first bracket. So I'm going to do it in blue. This is going to be our difference of cubes. So we're going to start with p minus q. That's easy enough to see. Then it's going to be p squared, pq, opposite sign, multiply the 2 inside the bracket, and plus squared, q squared. Okay, so that is how we do the difference of cubes. Now we have to do our second bracket. This is not a difference of squares. So how are we going to do this? So we're going to factorize these two brackets, right? We got two brackets as an answer, and then we're going to look at factorizing them. So I've got x multiplied by x, and then I need factors of 6. So 6 is going to be 3 and 2. If I say 3 and 2 is one option, now the option would be 6 and 1, right? So in order for me, I need to have a minus 6, which means one of these two must be a minus sign. And then I need a positive, which means the bigger of the two must be positive. So if I say plus 3 minus 2, that will work out just fine because then I have minus 6. And if I'll cross multiply, I have plus 1. So x plus 3 and x minus 2. And that is your final answer. All right, we're on the last question, question 10. We've got we've got m to the power of 6 minus n to the power of 9 in brackets. And this is multiplied by, now remember this is a multiplication, x squared. Then the next bracket is multiplied by 5 and it is multiplied by x. So those are going to go together. And the last bracket is multiplied by 6. So my common factor is going to be my bracket, right? So I'm going to say m6 minus n9. I take that out. And what I'm left with is going to be x squared minus 5 on the left and x on the right. Those two go together because it's the same bracket, right? They both are multiplied in here. And plus 6. All right, next up, let us solve our pink bracket. So this is going to be a difference of squares. Got two brackets. This is minus, this is plus, this is plus. Then we have, I'm just going to do it all in blue, okay? M squared n cubed. Now remember what we did here. We say 6 divided by 3 equals 2. That's how I get that power. And 9 divided by 3 equals 3. That's how I get that power. So exponents we divide, okay? Then we're going to do our second bracket. So this is going to be m4, m squared n cubed, and n6. So this is our first bracket, difference of cubes. Next up, we need to look at our second bracket. So let's factorize. We've got x, and then we've got 3 and 2. So we want a plus, right? And we've got a minus there. So we want our, let's see if I say minus and minus gives me plus. So if they're both minus, then I can get plus 6. Minus 2 minus 3 is minus 5. So that works out 5. X minus 3, x minus 2. And that is your final answer. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that all of this made sense to you. If you have any questions, pay attention to what they are, write them down, and then you can ask me in class. I wish you the best of luck. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and all the best. Bye-bye.